Good morning, everybody. So have a strap near you. We're going to use that as we start laying down. Well, I take my socks off. And just make yourself really comfortable. Maybe you can keep the knees bent and the feet on the floor for this beginning part of class. And as you lay down, just make yourself comfortable. Maybe you take the feet wide on your mat and your knees in towards center so that the hips and the knees can relax. Feel the lower back start to settle down, the shoulders soft along the floor, maybe one hand at the belly, one hand at the lower belly, one hand at the upper belly. Let the elbows rest really softly on the floor. And start by very simply tapping into your breath. Checking to see that the back of the neck is nice and long. Ideally breathing in and out through your nose. If you can, that helps to warm the air as it comes in through the nose, helps to filter the air before it goes into the lungs. And just feel this movement of breath and body. Notice how you're starting to get more centered on your mat. Maybe things are calming down a little bit, settling down just a little bit. And then as we did on Sunday, we're gonna start with that 3-part breath. Again, Dirga Pranayama. As you inhale, you'll feel your lower hand rise up first as we fill the lungs, the belly expands first, and then the upper belly, and then the chest expands out. As you inhale, as you exhale, the chest softens down to the floor, the high belly softens toward the floor, and then the low belly. So 3-part breath, not forcing, not straining. It's as if you were taking a sip of water in 3 parts, but not pausing in the middle. You're feeling almost this wave of breath as it moves up your body and then back out again. If you can picture a wave, a soft wave at the beach or at a lake, coming in toward shore and then receding out again. It has that same feeling for me of breathing in and breathing out. And seeing if you can get all the way to the top of the lungs. The very tip of the lungs goes past your collarbones. And so can we bring it all the way up there? And then all the way back down. Feeling belly rise. All the way to chest, and then chest soften all the way down to your belly. Good, a few more rounds right here. And then let go of your hands, let go of that particular way of breathing. Separate your feet, but let them be hips width apart. Separate your knees so that they are hips width apart. Bring your left knee to your chest. Oh, stretch it in and then push it straight out toward the front end of your mat. Let it hover. Press into your right foot to keep that foot grounded. And then inhale your left leg up toward the ceiling. No strap just yet. And then bend the knee to chest, press it back out. So just little circles kind of with the left leg, little bicycle circles. As you lift up, bend the knee toward chest, press it back out. Good, couple more right here. Just starting to warm up. Notice that your upper body can just be relaxed. Nothing much happening there. Last one, bring your knee to your chest. Take the hands behind your knee, straighten the left leg up to the ceiling. Good, and then bend and straighten it, warming up the hamstrings. Maybe there's a little tiny space behind your lower back. Maybe your belly is toned in just a little. Good, one more bend and straight. Good, and then grab your strap, take it around your left foot. Bring the left foot up to the ceiling. Take your right knee out to the right side. So I'm leaning on the pinky side of my right foot. Hold on to the strap. I like to hold on to it pretty close up to the foot and slowly let the left leg descend out to the left. So you've heard me say this before, keep your right hip on the floor. Don't lean over to the left and lose your grounding on the right side. Just feel the stretch here. Keep the strap in your hand as you inhale, cross legs, and then uncross them. Just nice and easy. So the right knee stays bent, we're crossing it over. It's like a little metronome. And we're opening slowly. Inhale, center, cross. Exhale. I can think of at least one of you out there that has a very tight outer hip, outer leg here at the iliotibial band, right? We wonder sometimes about knee issues. Sometimes it can be a very tight iliotibial band. And this is kind of an easy dynamic movement to start to wake up the muscles, the tendons. Good, one more right here. Opening it up nice and wide, and then cross and hold that cross. Keep the left leg straight, hold the strap in your right hand, so switch hands. Take your left hand to the top of your thigh, the top front of your thigh, and just push that thigh away from you. Woo! As you stretch the left leg across the right, but not very far, right? We're not taking it all the way to the floor, but just notice how pressing the hand into the thigh intensifies the stretch. And some of you might feel this way down in the calf muscle. That's really normal. Some of you might feel it on that whole outer line of your thigh. Good, bring the leg back up, bend your knee, bring that knee to chest. Ooh, good, straighten it all the way down to the floor and just pause here for a second. Just stretch it out. Good, and then bend your left foot, put that one on the floor, bring your right knee to your chest, no strap for now. Good, press it straight out. Inhale it up to the ceiling, exhale it back to your chest. There you go, little bicycle circles, taking it up, bending, pressing it back out. You might feel little pops and cracks in your knee. There should be no pain here, however. Good, breathe, just checking it out, right? How are you feeling this morning? Especially when temperatures start to drop, the muscles can take a little bit longer to warm up. Good. And a couple more right here. Just breathe. And hold that leg up. Bend the knee, take it to chest, take your hands behind your knee, soft interlace. And then straighten and bend your knee for, maybe 5. Just press it up and bend it press it up. I find it amazing that hamstrings tighten overnight. It seems to anyway, right? Good, and bend the knee, take the strap up under your foot or around your foot. Take the right leg straight up. Your left foot stays on the floor, and before you even move your right leg out to the right, I want you to pivot that left foot out to the side, or that left knee out to the side. Your strap's in your right hand, it's up close to your foot. Take it out to the right and pause, and then cross over. So soft, easy movement here. There's no hurry. There's no reason to go deep, right? We're warming it up. You're going to get a good sense of where those tendons are, especially that outer line that stays tight on many of us. Good, just cross. If you can, your knee is extended, right? It's straight, but if you can't, there's a soft bend there, no big deal. Just stretching it out, bringing it open. Good, last one here, cross it over. Open it up nice and wide, and then cross it over and hold. Your left knee is headed toward the right, your right foot headed toward the left. Grab the strap with your left hand. Maybe soften the shoulder down toward the floor. Take your right hand to your right front thigh and push that thigh away. Why does that one thing change the whole stretch? Woo, at least it does for me. I don't know about you. Good, big deep breath, everyone. And release, take it back up, bend your knee. Release the strap, press that leg straight out, just let it stretch. And release, bend both knees, both feet on the floor. Set your strap aside, we're not gonna need it for now. Bring both knees to your chest. Take both legs straight up and take your hands underneath your sacrum just to help with a little bit of back support. Press the shoulders back down to the floor, don't let them curl up. And then with control, I want you to open the legs wide. I've got a wall here, so I'm not going to go as wide as maybe I could, but there should be no pain as we stretch. Now what's happening, right? Tone the belly, press the shoulders down, and then cross over right over left. And then open, cross left over right. So you're just switching which one crosses, open, and cross. And open. Good, you should have full control over these legs, especially as they go wide. There shouldn't be any pain here, we're just having fun, if you can call this fun. And breathe, good, cross, open. The next time your right leg's in front of your left, cross and hold. And then point and flex your feet. So the knees are crossed. You're just pointing and flexing. Your belly is still toned. Good. And then slowly bend the knees and let the heels drop down toward your hips. And just notice how that may or may not feel for you. Maybe rock side to side. Maybe release the hands and draw the knees into chest. Find your breath. Maybe take a tiny space behind the lower back so that you're not so curled in through your spine. And then take the hands to each knee. Take one hand to each knee. Slide the hands down your shins. Don't worry about your feet. And then just see if you can separate the feet away from each other. It almost looks like a little wishbone to me as the feet separate. And notice again, so this is really a supine cow face pose, which, or cow face legs, which is where we're headed today, playing with some things. Maybe you can separate the feet more, maybe you can hold on to the heels. Maybe it's way too early for this deep stretch for you. So if that's the case, the heels just stay down low, right? Good, and then release the feet. We're gonna get way more warmed up than that. Take those hands back underneath your sacrum. Release the knees. Take both of them straight up. Open up nice and wide. Cross your left in front of the right. Bend the knees. And bend the knees, the heels back down toward your hips. You can release those hands again if you'd like. Bring the knees in. Maybe you see one hip tighter than the other. This is for sure my tighter side, that left side, back of the hip. Good, breathe. And then same thing, one hand to each knee. Slide those hands down to the shins. Don't worry about the feet. Just see if you can separate heel away from heel. Maybe those shins are parallel with the floor instead of down at your hips. And just see how that feels for you. Maybe you wiggle the hips a little bit to level them out some more. If this feels good, feels easy, maybe the hands reach the feet or the heels and draw those away a little bit more, but no force here. If your upper body is off the floor so that you can touch your feet, you're reaching way too far, especially this early in the, well, it's not really early in the morning, but early in class. Good, breathe, everybody, stretch it out, and then release those heels back down. Take the hands back under your hips. Release the knees, take those legs back up. Cross ankles left in front of right, and just point and flex your ankles. And then scrunch your toes and spread them out. Good, crunch and spread. One more, big crunch of those toes. And spread them out as wide as you can. And then scissor these lovely legs. Hands are under sacrum so that you have support. Maybe the legs start to go down just a little bit. Here's where you want to notice, right? When your lower back starts to really arch, you've probably gone a little too low. And then scissor them back up. Anybody remember this from 80s aerobics classes? I do. Lower and take them up. I feel like we're all getting ready for synchronized swimming. All right, one more. Take it low, squeeze the belly, and take them up. That's it. Good. And then take the legs wide. Cross your right in front of your left. Bend both knees. Good, this time slide the right shin across the left knee and come into figure four. Release those hands from underneath your glutes. Breathe, breathe, breathe. And then rock forward and back just a little bit. So as you rock the hips away, you arch a little in the low back. You ease up the stretch. Maybe as you bring the knees in, you tuck the pelvis, you get a little deeper stretch. A couple more right here. Good, next time the knees are kind of in a neutral space, teeny space behind your lower back. We did this last class. In case you missed it, here we go again. You're gonna see if you can leave your right foot right where it is and press the left leg out. Good, and then squeeze it in. We're just doing 3 of these. Reach and press, see if the right leg will stay somewhat in place. Good, and one more, push out. And push in. Cross those knees again. Bring the heels down, straighten both legs up. Open them up nice and wide. Cross the other way. Left foot in front of the right. Bend your knees. And slide the left shin, figure four, nice and easy. Right? Easy class, it's Wednesday. We have the easy bump button or something, right? So far, so good. Maybe we rock side to side. How's that feel? When you're happy and you know and clap your hands. Okay, here we are. And then hold that left knee, left leg in place. And for 3, let's press the right leg out and squeeze it in. Good, press it out and squeeze it in. One more right here, press it out And squeeze it in. Good. Cross those knees. Bring the knees to your chest. Hands underneath your sacrum. Straighten out those legs and scissor all the way down to the floor. Good. Release those hands. Take the arms overhead. Exhale, bring those knees to your chest. Turn those knees over to one side and come on up. Woo, feet are cold. All right, grab one of your blocks. Actually, grab both of your blocks, if you would. I want you to take one block and sit on the block. I think everybody should be pretty good with that lowest level, so start there and sit up on the block. Have your other block where you can reach it. And then just come into Baddha Konasana, soles of the feet together. This can take a variety of forms. Make sure you're sitting pretty solidly on the block that you're sitting on so you don't tip over. And then just notice, right, as we draw those hip points forward, we start to open up the pelvis. This should not be causing pain. If it does, if it is, one block under your knees or come off of this block, sit on a pillow instead, both blocks under your knees, anything like that that you might need to do. And another thing, I did ask all of you to grab a washcloth, and I'll just show this to you because you may do this throughout the class today. If you take a washcloth and you roll it up into a nice tight little donut roll, and place it right behind the knee, then when you go into these more compressive poses, the washcloth helps keep some space behind the knee. So for later, this could be really helpful. For here, you should be okay. And then just notice, so maybe your fingertips come to the floor, maybe the shoulders lift up, maybe you press those feet together. If you can, hands come to knees, the chest lifts really tall, and we're giving a really nice squeeze to the feet, just activating the inner thighs. Good, and then draw the knees together. Yep, separate the feet. Good, lift up, straighten your right foot or your right leg. So just watch the back of your right knee and make sure it's not hyperextending. I want you to straighten your left foot and then slide it up. I know it can be tricky on the mat, and if you're on full mat, then just kind of lift the heel as you bring it in. Good, squeeze it in and out. See if you can squeeze it all the way up, as close to the thigh as you can. Mine's not touching, there's space, but bringing it in, really kind of working this knee joint. And then one more. Squeeze it in, and then step it over your right leg. Lift your chest, dig your right heel into the floor. If you're having trouble keeping the right knee from hyperextending, just set a block underneath that. In fact, everybody might want to do that. It actually feels pretty good. Lift up really tall. Turn your torso to the left. It's your left knee pointing up. Turn the torso toward the left. Maybe wrap the right arm around the left knee, come into a little twist. Nice active right leg, everybody. And breathe. Good, and then take it center, hands still kind of resting on the floor, fingertips, and just walk your left foot out to the right and let the knee drop on top of your other knee, if you can. Some of you might be more out here, more figure four-ish, so I hope everybody has a block under their right knee, just to keep it from getting too extended. And notice this, right? So this is kind of a half cow face pose. We're lifting up nice and tall. My right leg is active, my foot's flexed, I'm kind of pushing into the block, but also resisting. Notice how this feels. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, it's a teeny tiny, like 2-3 inch swan dive forward. Feel the intensity in the right leg. And then let your hands come down to the floor. And just kind of notice, when we sit up on a block, it's almost like
for me, kind of like training wheels on a bicycle. We're giving ourselves a little bit of space, a little bit of comfort, hopefully, so that we can move into these poses without overstressing the joints, especially when we're not super warmed up. So just feel that little halfway cow face. Good, lift up, listen up. I want you to bend your right knee, slide your left leg over, come into a seated figure four. And then check your breath. Yeah, just breathe. Hips are tricky little boogers, knees are tricky little boogers, right? So honor your process, don't go into pain. Breathe. And release. As you release, fingertips to the floor, slide the right leg out, release your left leg, straighten it out to the floor. Maybe that block is underneath both legs. Flex your feet, find this nice high dandasana. Maybe the arms come up, pelvis tilted ever so gently forward. Maybe your heels lift off the floor as the legs press into your block. Breathe and then open those arms nice and wide and let go. Roll your shoulders, maybe roll your ankles. And then slide the block under your left knee. With your right leg, hands to the floor, just slide it up and slide it down. Slide it up and down. For some of you, I have one yogi who's not in class, who's had a knee replacement. She's not going to get that much bend in the knee, but any bend is good. So even if you can only bring that heel up part way, that's awesome. So stay with it. Good. Squeeze it up. Maybe squeeze it even more. See if you can get that heel really close to your hip on that side. And then slide it out. Good. Slide it up, everybody. Lift up really tall. Step over your left leg, lift tall again, wrap your left arm around, twist to the right, finding a nice easy twist. Use your lungs, use your breath. And then release that, start to walk your left foot or your right foot over to the left, and then maybe let that knee soften down to the other knee. Remember, any part of that right shin on your left leg is perfectly okay. It depends on the hip structure, it depends on flexibility, right? Just breathe, just notice. And then inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, just a tiny swan dive. Oh yeah. So we've got that left hamstring kind of locked down, so we're gonna feel that stretch there. Fingertips to the floor, shoulders roll back, lifting maybe our chest, right? The center of our chest forward, not worrying about rounding our backs or anything like that. Good activity in the left leg, by the way, right? Really finding that that structure that keeps that leg safe, that knee safe. Maybe even pushing softly your left knee back into the right leg. Think about that. Good, come on up. Slide your left heel up as you take your right leg across and find figure four seated. And notice, toes are cold. Breathe. Oh, that feels pretty good. Maybe you rock. Right, we want most of this to feel good. We don't want most of this to feel awful. So, you know, you can be partway down, right? And maybe that feels good and not awful. All right, fingertips to the floor, slide the left leg back, release your right. Slide the block under both knees or both thighs. Flex your feet. Find just a happy little dandasana. Maybe the heels come off the floor because the knees are protected by the block. And release it and come on down. All right, move one block out of the way, but have it kind of to the long front of your mat. And then come on off your second mat or second block. And lay on your, I'm going to say right side, but whichever side you can see the camera, or the screen is fine with me. And lay down on that side. Hand helps your head stay up if you want it, or you can lay the head down, so be mindful of your neck. Your bottom knee is going to bend into a 90-degree angle, and you're just going to let the knee, kind of the top of the knee, rest on the back of the block. And then your top knee, oops, let's turn this long. No, let's turn it narrow, sorry. And then your top knee is going to rest on the block. So find a way that this feels comfortable for you. Remember, your head can be down or up. And really all this is your top knee is resting on the block. What you do with your bottom leg is okay with me. From here, nice 90-degree angle, nice flex. I want you to lift the knee up, whoo, and lower it down so it taps your block. Now, one thing that you can do is take your hand, your top hand, right behind your hip so that you will feel, as we're lifting and lowering, whether or not you roll back. You don't want to roll back. You want to stay in that outer hip. So you're lifting the knee and lowering it back down. And my hand behind me is just a guide to let me know if I'm going too far, too high, right? Good, last one there. Tap it down. Lift it a couple of inches off the block and hold and just pulse up for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Listen up. I want you to straighten the leg. Whoo. And then see if you can tap to the block and lift it up, but don't roll back. And down again. Oh, good. 2. And down. And 3. Don't roll back. Ooh, and 4. I can't hear you, but you can all go ooh with me, and that's 5. Hold, breathe, and then lower that knee down to the block. Bend your knee, let it relax. And then very simply, with that knee resting on your block, I want you to lift your heel up. Internal rotation, big time, right? And then drop it down to the floor. And then lift it up. These are kind of a variation on clams, right? Clam shells. Lift up and down. Good, 2 more. Lift up, squeeze, and down. If we're talking about cow face pose, chances are we're talking about this internal rotation, which is tricky for a lot of us. And down. Good. Bring your knee to your chest, everyone. And stretch it out long. Whew. Good. And then switch sides. Either move on your mat or just turn yourself around. Now you know what we're doing. Laying on your left side. Your bottom knee is bent. Maybe it rests at the back side of the block. Your top knee is on your block. Your leg is pretty level here. Whether or not you hold your head is up to you. Maybe your top hand goes behind your back to give you the feedback on that. So from here, you're gonna lift all the way up, keep that 90 degrees and down. Lift up, squeeze the back hip and down, just 3 more, but it's slow. It's torturously slow. We could whip these out 5 really quick, but we would miss so many opportunities for sensation. Good, lift and lower. We got 1 more right here. And lower. Good, and then take the knee off the block and just pulse it for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, lower, and straighten the leg fully. Maybe you start by resting that knee on the block, that inner line of the knee on the block, and then lift up. Remember, don't roll back, and lower down to tap the block for 5. Oh, lift up and down. 4 and 3. Woo, and 2 and 1. Woo. Hold, maybe hover, breathe, straighten the knee and lower down. Woo. Nice job, everybody. Bend your knee and then lift the heel and then lower it down toward the floor. and lift, squeeze it up. Feel that, right? That's the motion. And down, lift up, down, 2 more, lift up, down. This last one, hold just for a moment, lift, hold. Feel that internal rotation, feel all the muscles that have to work all the way across. And lower down, good. Release that top leg, press it out, just stretch it. And lower it, and press yourself all the way up. Set your block aside. Maybe have some padding for underneath your knees. Let's come to table pose, everybody. Good. So plant the hands. Knees are underneath your knees. Remember to cushion the knees with a blanket, a pillow, something if those knees hurt. And then just a few nice organic cats and cows. So from your traditional cat and cow, maybe you work through the ribs, maybe you circle, maybe you go back and forward and around, right? What feels good? Let's just stretch it out, right? I don't know, you've seen cats do some pretty crazy things, so maybe you can embrace your inner crazy cat and move through your body in a little bit different way. Just stretch it out. Feel your ribs, feel your lungs, check your breath. Good. And then come back to a nice normal table pose. Press your right foot back. We've been doing this last 2 classes. We're gonna do it again. You know me. Squeeze your belly, lift your right leg. Nice tone to that right leg, to the belly, all of that stuff. Optionally, take the left hand out. Wrist issues, you can go to a soft fist. Just be mindful there that it's not too much pressure. Or you can take your elbow to your block and breathe. You got it. All right, lots of options. And from here, right knee to right elbow to left hip. Press it out on purpose. And in for 2. And out. And 3. And out. 4. You got it. Last one. 5. Push it out, everybody. Left hand to the floor. Right knee outside right elbow. Press it back. And 2. And 3. You got it. We'll do these a little quicker. And 4. And 5. Squeeze it in. Hold. Squeeze your belly. Extend that leg out to the side. Drop the right foot to the floor. Start to press your pinky toe down to the floor. Walk your hands back. Before you lift your hands, just check that left knee and see if it's pretty much lined up with your left hip. And then walk your hands up for gate pose. And breathe. And take the arms up. As you exhale, take the right arm down the right leg. Take the left arm over. Press into your left foot as you side bend into this just gorgeous big stretch for the side body. You might notice that my fingertips are tented around my knee because we are not putting pressure on the knee. Your hand is either below or above the knee or kind of tented around it. Still supportive. Inhale, reach the arms up. Take your left hand to the padding on the side hip. I know you can't see where that is if you're looking, but push into that hip and reach over to the left. Inhale, both arms up. Exhale, hips back as hands come to the floor. Walk your hands out and then squeeze the belly as you simply slide that leg and put the knee back on the floor. Well done, everybody. I'm turning around, so if you took your eyes off, you know why. Press your left leg back, plant the hands. Tone your belly, lift the left leg. Hold it right here. Maybe again, you're down on elbow, right? That left arm is down on a block. Right arm goes out. Breathe. When you're ready, elbow to knee, on one side or knee to elbow, and then elbow to hip. Good. Squeeze it in for 2 and 3 and 4. Last one and 5. Squeeze and then extend. Let the right hand come to the floor. Take your left elbow to, or your left knee to your left elbow and press it out for 1 and 2 and 3. These are getting easier, right? And 4 and 5. Good. And then bring that knee to elbow and extend it out. And drop that foot to the floor. Check the right knee is under the right hip. And then walk your hands all the way up to gate pose on this side. I didn't go into a huge explanation, but for me, the right knee and right hip line up. And then the left foot presses out from the left hip. Belly squeezes in. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, slide the left hand down the left leg any amount as the right arm comes over. Big ol' side bend as you take a deep breath. Maybe you press into the right top foot. Breathe. And then inhale, both arms up. Right hand goes to right hip pad and we stretch over to the right, finding this big long stretch from fingertips to toes. Inhale, both arms up. Exhale, your hips go back. Hands come to the floor. You see if you can lift the left leg before you bring it back. And then pad those hands into the mat as you flip your toes under and find our first downward facing dog. Good, bend one knee and then the other. And breathe. Inhale to your tippy toes, stretch out the feet, and then press the heels maybe a little bit more. Walk the feet together so your big toes touch. Squeeze the belly, squeeze the imaginary beach ball, and only if you want, I want you to lift your left leg up to the ceiling, but keep the hips pretty level. Toes are pointing down, so if you look through your back of your foot, the toes are pointing down. Good, 1, stay here, 2, foot back down, down dog. 3, left knee to left elbow, working hard today, squeeze, and lift up. We're just doing 3, and down, squeeze. Watch your wrists here. Last one, squeeze, and lift up. And lower that leg, lower your knees, separate the knees, hips width apart. If you can, come up on the knees, reach the arms up and inhale. Stretch out those bellies and exhale. Shake out the wrists, plant the hands, knees come back together, downward facing dog, feet are together. Now we're getting warmed up. Optionally, 1, stay right here. 2, come on out. That's plenty long enough. Or lift your right leg. Try to square the hips. Squeeze the belly. Toes point down. Breathe. And then only if you want. 3, knee to elbows. 1 and 2. Good. Last one. 3, squeeze. And lift, release that down, separate your feet, lower your knees, and maybe a brief child's pose or hero pose if you can sit. This is actually Thunderbolt, sitting back on the heels, easier than sitting through the legs. Good, and shake out. Shake, shake, shake out your wrists. And notice how you just kind of warming up, right? Things are starting to flow. Good. All right. Table pose to downward facing dog. Walk your hands all the way back to your feet. Take the feet wider on your mat, butt parallel, so toes are all pointing in the same direction. Bend your knees and really set the hips back. Take your hands to your knees and come on up, everybody. Good, roll it out, roll it out. Grab one of your blocks and place it in front of you. Maybe at the second level is kind of nice. We did this a while back. We're gonna come back to it because we're working with the outer line of the hips. So standing in a relative mountain pose, just cross your left foot in front of your right foot. Now notice just doing that, right? If your front leg is pressing back, you can hyperextend your back knee. I don't like that. So I would rather see you press your back knee into your front knee. So both knees have a soft bend to them. And if you look down, your front knee has a nice little bend. Hands come to hips. Big deep hinge of your hips. Keep pressing your back knee into your front knee. And then maybe take your hands down to your block. Some of you have got a lot of room here. You won't need your block. You could set it aside. But I don't want you straining to touch the floor while we stretch these lovely legs. So with your left leg in front, lean ever so softly to the right. Both knees are soft, back knee pressing into front knee. Yep, feel the stretch. And then do a little circle, weird little circle, so that you get heavy in the toes. You lean a little left, you lean back, and you lean right. Just little, soft, soft. Big deep breath. And then come back to the center. If you set your block aside, I want you to grab it again and take your hands to your blocks. Here's where I want you to be cautious. I'm actually going to move my block out of the way so you can see what the feet are doing. I just want you to bend the knees more and separate the feet a little more. Like a big bend in the knees, you're almost squatted. My front foot isn't fully on the floor, but I've separated the feet and pressing my hips back. Knees are bent. Hands to the block just makes that a little bit easier. Breathe. Good. And then walk the feet back close. Undo the feet. Bend your knees, hands to knees. Come on up. It's a bigger stretch. It's a little, one of those little sneaky stretches for these outer hips and tendons. All right, so let's go to the other side. Right foot in front of left. You're crossed at the knees. You've bent your back knee, so the back knee is pressing into the front knee. Start a deep hinge from your hips and come on down. Fingertips are to the floor or fingertips are to your block. Try not to dig down into the block. Use your core strength to keep yourself light, even though you're in a forward fold. And just check it out. How does it feel on this side? Chances are one side's going to be tighter than the other, and I want you to honor that. Don't go deep, deep if you don't need to. Maybe your block's up higher because, this side is way tighter, right? I have left knee issues, and this is my tight side. The back leg is where we're stretching. So from here, just tiny circle. It's as if you were just drawing a little tiny circle on your mat, and you're feeling all the connections of hip bones, right? The thigh bone's connected to the hip bone. Everybody breathe. And take it back to center. Remember, bend the knees a lot more, almost as if you were going to go to a squat, and just see if you can separate the feet a little bit more. Big bend of the knees here. Adjust the knees if you have to. If this doesn't feel good, don't do it. That's all there is to it. This is a little funky one.
as we go a little deeper into the hip joint itself. Good, and then walk the feet back closer. Undo the feet. Bend your knees and come on up.
And feel that, right? Just feel that. All right, so make sure your block is not anywhere where you're gonna trip. We're gonna flash back to those 80s aerobics classes again. And all I want you to do, we'll do it fast at first, is you're gonna take your knee to opposite elbow, right? We're gonna kind of march in place, but bring elbow to knee and down, and opposite and down. So at first, you know, relatively quick. The quicker you go, the easier this is for balance. The challenge here is to see if you can get the knee up instead of the elbow down, right? So lift up tall and find your breath. 4, 3, 2, and 1, and pause. Shake it out. Roll your shoulders. Breathe. All right, we're gonna do that again, second set of 10. A little bit slower. Here we go. Shake it out, find your balance. Here we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, are you with me? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and shake it out. And breathe. All right. Left knee to right elbow, hold. So now mountain pose is more important, right? Now mountain pose, strengthening up, lifting up, picking up that sack of potatoes we talked about last class if you were here. So lift up really strong, strengthen that outer right hip, hands to hips to start. Lift your right or left knee and bring it across. Either right hand or right elbow, and lift your left arm up. Push your elbow into your knee into your elbow. Woo! And let go. Shake it out. Let's go to the other side. Strengthen that left side. Hands to hips to start. Lift your right knee. Maybe you're hanging out right here. Maybe the knee comes across. Maybe your left elbow to your right knee and your right arm up. Whoo, breathe. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let go. And shake it out. Well done, everybody. Come on back to the front of your mat. Blocks are to the front of your mat in case we need them. Inhale, reach up. Exhale all the way down. Separate the feet slightly and just bend your knees. Just bend them. And feel that. Now, press the sit bones back. Tone your belly. Take your hands to your knees and just lift the chest. Keep that big bend in the knees. And exhale it down to the floor. Step back, right leg. Hold your lunge. Maybe lower your right knee to the floor. And inhale, reach up. Exhale those hands to the floor. Lift your right knee, step back, downward facing dog. Pedal it out. Come to plank pose. Breathe. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower your knees. Chaturanga. Low cobra. Low, low, low. Exhale, downward facing dog. Oh, yeah, it's not cold anymore. Breathe. When you're ready, step forward, right leg. Hold that lunge for a moment. Maybe lower your knee, left knee to the floor. And inhale, reach up. Just stretch it out. Find your breath. Notice how you feel. Exhale those hands to the floor. Lift your left knee off the floor. Push forward.
Knees or feet are a little wider than hips width apart. Bend your knees, hands to your knees, lift your chest. And inhale the arms up. Exhale your hands to your heart. Good, inhale, reach up. Exhale down. Bend the knees, lift your chest. Exhale it down. Step back, left leg. Your choice here, left knee up or left knee down. Trust your body. Take your hands to your knee. Lift your chest and inhale up and breathe. Find your pose. Good, hands come to your heart. Left elbow to right knee and breathe. Fire up your back leg. If your left knee is lifted, your left glute is fired up. You got this. Find your pose and take it center. Hands to the floor. Step back, downward facing dog. To plank. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower your knees. Optional here. You can stay high on chaturanga, but do it well, my loves. Here we go. Take it down. Inhale, low to mid, cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Find your breath. Step forward, left leg. Find your good solid pose. Remember, legs are on the railroad tracks, right? They're separate. Hips width apart. Knee up or knee down. Hands come to your knee, and then you push up and find your pose. Knee up or knee down. Hands come to heart. Right elbow to left knee. Find your breath. Fire up the right leg if the knee is lifted. Good, center. Oh, and hands to the floor. Step back to downward facing dog and then lower your knees. And maybe sit back. Or child's pose. Either one. Find your breath. Let everything settle. Smile. Sneaky little classes all the time. I start out so easy. It's probably still pretty easy for most of you. All right. Come on back up. Now, this one might be a little tricky. So you're gonna come all the way to the bottom edge of your mat, but your knees are still on the mat, okay? As best you can, you're gonna take your right knee forward and step it across to the left side. So we're crossing knees, and then you're gonna walk forward, take your left leg and bring it across and over. So you're just doing this bizarre crawl forward until you get to the front of your mat. And then if you can, if your brain will allow, you're gonna reverse it. So my left knee's in front, I'm gonna pull it and step it across my right. Walk the hands back and do the same thing. There you go. Keep going. Do your best until you're back at the back of your mat. Good. So let's all try to do the same thing, same leg. So my left knee is in front. Bring your right knee in front. Bring your left knee in front and pause. And of course, I didn't cue it. Find your blocks. So if you can, reach for your blocks. Have one in front of you and take one behind you. Okay? It can be low, it can be second. I'm sorry about that lack of cueing. Your knees are crossed. Gently. See if you can wiggle your way back to the block behind you.
That may or may not happen for your knees, right? Cow face pose is either so easy or it's not easy at all. Depends on your hip structure. So take your second block. If you're sitting on your one block, take your second block and put it under your knees and see how that feels. See if you can sit up that way. If not, the knees are separated. If not, none of the above, you're back at this funky crawl and you're just playing with the idea that you could like scoot back and scoot forward, right? And just see, is it gonna happen for me on this side? I have my left knee in front. I have my right knee at the bottom. I'm just kind of hanging. It's not bad. Maybe it's awful. I know, students, cow face legs, you know, it's a love-hate thing. All right, so then push yourself off your blocks. Switch legs. Now right leg's in front. Now your block is back behind your butt. And you're just gonna sit back and see if you can find cow face on this side. Left or right leg's on top, left leg's on the bottom. Find your breath. Think happy thoughts with these hips of ours. Breathe. And then push off your blocks, hands come back, undo your knees, take the knees wide on your mat, and come on back, maybe a little child's pose, watch the knees again. And breathe. And notice. I find hips interesting, especially with women, because we attach emotional baggage to our lovely hips. And sometimes we find through yoga poses, that we release some of that baggage as we do the different postures. All right, so come on up, everybody. Grab one block and go ahead and sit on it, either at the flat level or at the second level. If you're at the second level, just be really careful about being tippy. We're almost there. Legs are out in front. Hands are to the floor. Bend your right leg, step it over. We were here at the beginning of class. And then drop your knee, your right knee down toward your left knee. If you're worried about hyperextension, you can put that other block under the knee again. But we're not going to be here for too long, I don't think. So once you're here, I want you to slide your left leg back so that it mimics the right leg. Again, cow face pose. Your second block is maybe under your front knees. If you walk your feet back, if you walk your heels back, that is easier. For almost everybody I know, might not be easier for you. As the legs come out more parallel, that is where the joints and the muscles get a little bit more pull for most people. So if your heels are way back, you're up off the floor, you got a little room to play, block is supporting your knees. Maybe you're there for a little while. Maybe your top leg is just separated from your bottom leg, and that's okay too. Or the feet walk out to the sides. The feet flex, the body is tall. Maybe you're not on blocks and you are just cross-legged. So you are not out of the picture here just because you can't do this. So maybe you're cross-legged and maybe you bring the knees in a little closer to each other, right? So right leg is on top, left leg goes up to, or left arm goes up to the ceiling. Bend that arm and pat yourself on the back. Take the right arm out to the side, internally rotate the arm, bring the arm behind you. Maybe your fingers touch, maybe they don't. Don't worry about the fingers touching. Soften your body into the blocks. Find your breath. Smile. All this for this. What was that movie with Jack Nicholson and, what was her name? I can see her clear as day. Is this, what is it? As Good as It Gets, I think, right? Is this as good as it gets? Release the hands, everybody. Inhale, reach up. Exhale those hands down. Lean back. Undo your legs. Bend your left, step over your right. Once again, a block underneath your knee can be helpful here. Otherwise, we'll use it in a minute. Drop the left knee down, scoot your right heel in and back. Maybe you take your block under your knees. And then just see if you can sit tall. See if you can sit like, just tall, really. Heels closer in for most people, easier. Watch the ankles that they're not feeling strained. Legs further out. A little bit more challenging, I think, for most people. The washcloth I never cued can go between or beneath, underneath the knees, right at that inner knee crease to help with that. Take the arms out. The right arm goes up to the ceiling, bends, pats yourself on the back. Your left arm internally rotates and comes behind you. Maybe your fingers touch, maybe they don't. If your chin's down at your chest, separate the hands more so that you can keep the head in alignment. Breathe. Good. Release the hands, everyone. Lean back, undo your legs, come off your block that you were sitting on and set it aside. Straighten your legs. You can see I put my socks back on. Good, and then take the legs into a really lazy Baddha Konasana. By that I mean that your feet are really far away from your hips. You don't need them to be in really deep. Maybe take your blocks underneath the knees and pause here. Sitting nice and tall, finding your breath, rolling your shoulders back. Breathe. Good, and then either stay here, because this is good, this is nice, right? Maybe you stay here, maybe you just let that nice organic stretch through the inner thighs, or take the blocks out and take one block at its narrowest level between your feet. Starts to get a little bit more challenging to sit upright, so I'm actually holding onto my ankles so that I can keep the shoulders lifted and back and keep the low back from rounding. Press into the block and gently feel the extra work happening. Watch the hips, everyone. Big deep breath. Good, one, stay here or go to second width. That was my second width. Or go to third width. Go one width more than you were before. My hips must be pretty open today because I didn't realize that. And everybody breathe. You're either really wide or you're second wide. Your chest is lifted. You are breathing. You are smiling at my silliness. Good. Take the block out. Set the blocks aside. Bring the knees together. Straighten your legs. Move the flesh out from the sit bones. Lean back. Bend your right knee. Step it across. Walk the right foot out to the left side so that the knee drops down to the other knee. We're in half cow face. 1, stay here. 2, maybe figure 4, maybe you just bend your left knee and let it be that. Or you slide the left foot out to the right side and you let the knees drop, or you put a block under the knees. Sometimes that can be a really easy middle way, that we're sitting on the floor but the knees are still high with the block underneath. Good. Maybe shake out the hips. When you're happy and you know it, shake your hips. Breathe. How's it feel? I'm not going to worry about the arms here. If you're having trouble being upright, fingertips are behind. If it is easier for you to dig the heels in close to the hips, play with that. If it's easier to separate the knees out a little bit, go there, okay? No pain. And then lean back, lift your knees, undo them, and redo them, okay? You can keep the knees up really high and play here, or walk both feet out to the sides or close to the hips. Lift tall. Maybe close your eyes and send just all kinds of love and appreciation for your hips. Never again look in the mirror and go, right? Look in the mirror and smile. Breathe. Good. Lean back, straighten the legs, shake them out. Good. Move the flesh out from the sit bones. Find Dandasana, serious, true, strong Dandasana. Just kind of resetting all of those muscles. Hands are either to the floor or fingertips are behind or arms are up. Really fire up the legs, everybody. Squeeze them together and squeeze them down. Work the legs. And exhale it all the way. Good. And then bend your knees and take yourself all the way down to your back. Keep your knees bent all the way down. Shoulders are soft, belly is soft. Maybe turn the head side to side. And keep your right knee pointed up toward the ceiling and just let the left knee drop down to the floor. Nothing else to do. Just breathe. Maybe start to move back to that 3-part breath. Take the left knee up. Let the right knee go down toward the floor. Bring the right knee up, both legs out to the sides. Your hands are either resting on your belly or they're resting on the inner thighs. If this doesn't feel marvelous, find your blocks, which I was looking for, and just set them underneath your thighs. In fact, maybe do that in any case to let this be a more restorative, more restful pose. And again, close the eyes. Maybe one hand is at low belly, one hand is at mid belly or even up toward the chest, but elbows are soft to the floor so the arms aren't working. And notice tension in the jaw and see if it relates to tension in the hips. Soften the hips, let them rest on the blocks. Soften the jaw.
Find your breath. Just breathe, everyone. So at some point, you are drifting into Shavasana. Either the legs stay here in this very supported Baddha Konasana, or the legs start to straighten. Maybe the blocks stay under legs to keep the knees and the legs really soft. But in either case, find your Shavasana. Make sure you're warm enough. Make sure you are joyful enough in this pose as you settle in, as you feel the breath like a wave moving in so softly, and then softly retreating back out again. And imagine if we looked in the mirror with appreciation instead of judgment, with love instead of criticism. What if we saw all that is good about us, all that is beautiful about us, all that carries meaning in our life, instead of the superficial things that catch our attention? As you lay in Shavasana, just imagine all your wonder. Breath moving slowly in and slowly out. Notice if legs or jaw tighten. Let it go. And then bring your attention back. Wiggle toes and fingers, and wherever you are, draw those knees to chest and give yourself a big hug. A big, loving, I am awesome hug. Rocking side to side. Slowly letting the knees fall to one side or the other. And then ever so gently pressing all the way back up to your seated pose.